Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
Lieutenant Rice, Officer Miller, and Officer Nero failed to establish probable cause for Mr. Gray's arrest, as no crime had been committed by Mr. Gray. Accordingly, Lieutenant Rice, Officer Miller, and Officer Nero illegally arrested Mr. Gray. Upon arrival of the transport wagon driven by Officer Caesar Goodson, Lieutenant Rice, Officer Nero, and Officer Miller loaded Mr. Gray into the wagon, and at no point was he secured by a seatbelt while in the wagon, contrary to a BPD general order.
Well, there it is. Treasure of Love, brought to us by Barack Hussein Obama. The man who was always wanted to bring it all down, man. And is it coming down? Can you imagine a street rat? One of the worst people in the history of the United States of America, Al Sharpton, demanding a federal police force. Can you imagine that you would live in America where a street rat who should have been arrested, in my opinion, 20 years ago for the Freddie Fashion Mart fire, for the Tawana Brawley hoax? Can you imagine this street rat is in and out of the White House on a regular basis? I've said to you many times that Barack Obama is a communist revolutionary. The day he became president, I referred to the movie Burn with Marlon Brando. I don't know if you know that film. It's a very famous film. And what we're seeing in America now is a repeat of history. We have an overt revolution going on. It's being steamed up by Obama, by Holder when he was in charge. The whole pack of them stirred up the masses. That does not release the cops involved in this case from any culpability in the death of this character, Gray. And I have to go into it from both sides. I mean, I have to be Solomon-esque on this. The fact of the matter is, being a policeman today is the most impossible job in the United States of America. There's no question in my mind it's an impossible job. What this case is going to do is make an already difficult job impossible to do. The insanity is overwhelming. And I have an officer who wrote me this. He will remain anonymous. He said, what's going, and this is a very intelligent officer who is a college graduate, a third-generation officer, as good as gold. And he said, America is following the exact route that Germany did pre-Hitler. And he visited Germany a few years ago. He saw what had happened to the police there. One community uproar already happened. To police relegated to no power currently. Next comes the charismatic leader who gives the police the power back. And then what happens is there's a corruption of power after the leader earns the respect of the police and the military and slowly makes the police corruption acceptable. And the police are on board with this because initially they're allowed to keep their job, as happened, and then they're turned into the SS. They want to federalize all local agencies, managed by who? Al Sharpton? We're having a revolution. Now, what actually happened in the van is the question. You heard the case. You know the case. You can comment on the case. You probably all want to hear what I have to say about it, else you wouldn't be listening to the show. I'm sure many of you made up your own minds. You know what happened in your mind. Now, Freddie Gray has a rap sheet as long as my right arm. Does that mean he was guilty when he was arrested? I don't know. Even if you have a rap sheet as long as an arm, it doesn't mean that you're guilty of a crime if you didn't commit it. So let's start with that. You are presumed innocent in America. So why was he arrested is the question. It goes back to the origin of the case. Why was this character arrested, number one? Then now let's look at the DA. They call her a city prosecutor, state attorney, Marilyn Mosby. First of all, she comes from a family of police. I didn't know that. That's interesting. But that doesn't mean that she's in favor of the police. She's as aggressive and as, let us say, ambitious as Michelle Obama. In fact, I'll make a prediction that State Attorney Marilyn Mosby runs for state office. National office. She could easily run for the U.S. Senate or House of Representatives after this because she's made a name for herself, whatever that name may be. But the questions remain after the charges presented against the officers. And here are some of the questions. Do you remember the St. Louis County prosecutor Bob McCulloch, who was told to recuse himself from the Michael Brown case because his father had been killed in the line of duty as a police officer? Well, the vermin in the media don't seem to be asking any such questions about Ms. Marilyn Mosby, because she has serious conflicts of interest, more so than McCulloch did. Her husband is an elected Baltimore City Councilman, Nick Mosby, in whose district much of the unrest occurred. And the fact of the matter is, there's another connection that shows a conflict of interest. Mosby is very closely tied to the Gray family's attorney, Bill Murphy, a close personal friend. And Bill Murphy gave her campaign donations when she ran for prosecutor. Bill Murphy, the lawyer for the Gray family, was even on her transition team after her election. Did you know any of this? Now, we know that Mosby is a politically ambitious woman. There's no question about it. She gave a speech appeasing the protesters. She said, "To the youth of the city, I will seek justice on your behalf. This is a moment, your moment. Let's make sure we have peaceful discussions. As young people, our time is now." Are you listening? Was the arrest of Freddie Gray illegal? Mosby stated that the officer's arrest of Gray was illegal. But is that true? Because according to the AP 2 days ago, here's a quote. Several legal experts say that because he was standing in a drug-infested area, Gray's decision to bolt on April 12th may have justified the decision by 4 bicycle-riding officers to pursue and detain him. He was a known drug dealer. He had been arrested many times for dealing drugs, possession of drugs, etc. Low-grade drug dealer, but a drug dealer nevertheless. And he ran from the police, so they arrested him. So were they justified in arresting him or not? Now, what about the seatbelt incident? I'll go into that. What's medical homicide? Do you know what medical homicide is? I'm going to explain all of this to you. But I want to tell you what I think happened. We're searching right now for the pictures of the officers. They appear all to be white. And, of course, the victim was black, which adds fuel to the fire being promulgated by the race hustlers like Al Sharpton and Barack Obama. That's number one. But what was done to this guy in the van is really the issue. And I'm going to say something that will probably engender a great deal of distemper in the United States of America amongst my audience. And you want to hear it? And here it is. First of all, the thin blue line is all that stands between us and the animals. It's that simple. It's not a racial statement. The animals can be white, black. They can be anything, you name it. The animals who prey on the ordinary citizen. The only thing that keeps them at bay are the wolfhounds in uniform with a badge and a gun. And if you want to make sure that the wolfhounds are defanged, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it, and you'll make the wolves' day. That's all I can say to you. Because if you want the wolves prowling in your safe white neighborhood, go ahead. Keep defanging the wolfhounds, because that's what you're going to have. Now, having said that, I'm going to give you the Solomon-esque view of what I personally believe may have happened, and it's only a guess. Here's what I think happened. They arrested him, whether rightly or wrongly. That's number one. Probable cause, yes. If he was a known dealer and ran away, he probably threw the drugs and ran. So they knew who he was, and they put him in the van. He was also probably well known as a difficult case to the cops. Tough as nails, fought, spit, scratched, whatever. So they chained him up, handcuffed him into the van, and they didn't seatbelt him because they were going to take him on a joyride. My guess, my intuitive guess, knowing a little bit about inner city police and how they work to restrain people who are known to be violent and wild on the ride to the police station, is they shake him up in the van, lurch him around. They figure by taking the stuffing out of him on the way to the police station, he'll be more subdued when they have to take him out of that van and put him into the Huskow, the police station, the cell. In other words, arraign him. And if he's full of energy, they're going to get bitten, they're going to get spit at, they're going to get kicked, they're going to get punched. So they take him on a little joyride and lurch him around, bang him up a bit, and let the police van do the work for them. They didn't intentionally kill him. He inadvertently struck his head against the bolt and died. That's my opinion of what happened. And the rest is going to be history. How you could ever prove it, disprove what I said, I don't know. Nobody was in there. You know, you want to put Body cameras on police, I go a step further. Put cameras inside police vans. I'd like to see a camera inside the White House. You want to bet? I want total transparency. I'd like a camera inside Al Sharpton's offices at the National Action Network. I'd like cameras inside Barack Obama's private offices. I'd like to know what he says when that street rat Al Sharpton and he conspired to bring down America. So I'd like to see cameras. I'd like to see a body camera on the president. I'd like to see a body camera on Al Sharpton as well. 855-400-7282 is the phone number. If you want to comment on any of this horrible situation, you can do so. Who would become a policeman after this other than a criminal? Who would go into this business other than a criminal? Why don't you just deputize the Crips and the Bloods in Baltimore, give them a badge and a gun, and turn them into the police? Then you'll have no crime at all. See, that's exactly where we're going here. These guys, some of them are very young men. Their lives are ruined forever. Think about what that means. Think about what this means to throw the book at these cops. Why all 6 of them? Why not just the van driver? Because State Attorney Marilyn Mosby is a greedy, aggressive, ambitious, out of control state attorney who didn't do the right thing. That's my opinion. That's the opening of the show. The phone number is 855-400-7282. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
My Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust to protect my wealth. Call 800-BUY-COIN.
The findings of our comprehensive, thorough, and independent investigation, coupled with the medical examiner's determination that Mr. Gray's death was a homicide, which we received today, has led us to believe that we have probable cause to file criminal charges.
So now the rioters are justified for burning and robbing and looting and stealing toilet paper and refrigerators, television sets. Okay, so here we are. There it is. We have an aggressive, greedy, ambitious state attorney, Marilyn Mosby, who basically threw the cops to the wolves. And the wolves are going wild in the streets. Now, biblically, we have to follow the law. All of us do. And one of the 10 commandments is, thou shalt not murder. In my opinion, and there's going to be no way to prove this, the only officer who had a scintilla of culpability in this guy's death were not the arresting officers. This was an overreach on the part of State Attorney Marilyn Mosby because she wants to be as aggressive as she can be to make as much political hay as she can and get as much money for her good friend, the attorney for the Gray family, Bill Murphy, in my opinion, a close personal friend of hers. She never should have brought them all in on the charges. It should have been the guy driving the van who obviously did something wrong, lurched him in the car and threw him around in the back, if that's what actually happened. And I don't know how to prove or disprove that, by the way, but there's no reason to have charged all of the officers, none whatsoever, other than political ambition. She's an ambitious political individual on the order of Michelle Obama. If you care to chime in on this or any other topic, the phone number is 855-400-7282. I believe I have done a judicious job in my presentation. I've told you both sides of the story from my point of view, not to appease you, not to show you how balanced I am, but this is what I actually believe happened. On the other hand, you're probably going to take umbrage with something I said anyway. So let's begin in Detroit. WJR Rochelle, go ahead, please. You're on the radio.
Hi, Michael. I just wanted to let you know, first off, my husband and I appreciate your program. We don't always agree with you, but most of the time we do. We have a conservative bent, but we don't affiliate with any party. We have 3 children. We're trying to raise them to obey the law. We live, quote unquote, in the ghetto. And I'm going to state something my mother always told me, and that is there are geniuses in the ghetto that no one will ever know about because they don't have the same opportunities.
I disagree with you. Excuse me. I've heard that crap all my life. I was born in a ghetto, and no one gave me a damn thing. I had to work for everything I had. No one gave me anything. So I don't want to hear that all of them are Einsteins running around with their pants under their behind.